I've had my Arcade1Up Marvel digital pinball table for a full year now, and it's still one of my favorites to play. However, unlike the Arcade1Up Attack from Mars pinball, which carries artwork based upon an actual arcade game, it's always kind of bugged me that the Marvel cabinet's appearance is generic, and none of its 10 games represent real-life pinball tables. In looking to give it a more authentic feel, I first ordered a decal from Loud GraphX on Etsy to cover the plain black apron at the base of the glass. This was easy to install and added so much to the cabinet, I also bought an installed Loud GraphX Attack from Mars version. After talking with the owner of Loud GraphX, I found out that he'd been working on a project to make custom backglass art for these games, and he agreed to make me one for Fantastic Four, which is my favorite table on the Marvel Pinball. He kindly sent me a test version and I installed it along with a new matching apron decal. Loud GraphX is planning to offer a number of options for custom Arcade1Up pinball backglass and apron art, so I decided to make this installation video since you'll be able to change the look of your games just as easily as I did once these items are listed on his store. The first step in the process is to remove the stock pinball backglass from the machine. I started by removing the lower back panel from the box. Next, I removed the 2 screws from the white L bracket that connect the bottom of the light box to the left side panel. Then I removed the screws holding the left side panel to the box. There are 7 of these and I always seem to miss the one in the middle. I put the screws in a cup to keep them all together for later reassembly. With the side removed, I slid the backglass out of the light box. Before the new graphic could be applied, I had to buy a clear piece of 1/8 inch plexiglass. The original backglass measures approximately 11 7/8 inches tall by 19 7/8 inches wide. My local hardware store cut the piece for me and the cost was about $10. The best part is that it actually took me longer to drive to the store and get the plexiglass than it did to complete this project. The artwork for the backglass comes as 2 identical plastic sheets with printing on one side and diffuser white on the other. They need to be stacked so that the artwork lines up to provide deep, rich colors. To install the backglass, I started by inserting the new plexiglass panel partway into the back box. I then cleaned it thoroughly using a microfiber cloth. Next, I carefully inserted both pieces of plastic sheet into the track with the plexiglass. It's a tight fit, so don't force it, as you don't want to bend the material. I slid the printed sheets all the way into the box, making sure they seated properly on the far end. I then carefully slipped the plexiglass the rest of the way down the track. The tight fit holds the printed panel securely, so no tape or other adhesive is needed. Before replacing the side panel, I powered up the game to make sure the 2 sheets were aligned. You'll know if they're not because the artwork will appear blurry. The plexiglass and printed pieces slide over each other smoothly, so adjustments are easy. With the test complete, I replaced the side panel and all of the screws. The final project was to apply the new apron decal. This final piece comes with rough trim lines marked on it already, so I used a cutting mat, a sharp X-Acto knife, and a metal straight edge to cut out the part. The apron itself is a piece of the cabinet. You need to remove the 3 metal rails that hold it and the playfield glass in place. There are 6 screws with 3 on each side that hold the rails to the cabinet. After removing the trim, I lifted the apron out of the machine using the finger hole at the bottom edge to release it from its frame. Be aware that not all Arcade1Up pinball machines are built exactly the same. My Attack from Mars cabinet has 2 additional screws that hold the apron to the cabinet. My Marvel game didn't have that feature, but be on the lookout for it. Since I'd already installed a decal on the top of the apron, I applied the new Fantastic Four decal on the bottom side instead. I started by folding away approximately 1 inch of the backer along the top edge of the decal. I then carefully seated the decal along the top edge of the apron. When I was sure it was correctly aligned, I seated the self-adhesive vinyl by applying gentle pressure with a microfiber cloth. I then pulled away a bit more of the backer and smoothed the decal onto the part with a cloth. Once you get it started, this action will cause the backer to come away on its own as you work. I learned this method from my first Loud GraphX decal project, and I've now used it on 5 different games with perfect, bubble-free results every time. From there, I flipped the apron over onto my cutting mat, and using my knife cleared away the thumb hole and trimmed away the excess vinyl on the edges. I then replaced the apron in the cabinet and reinstalled the metal trim. As shown here, the chrome trim covers the non-printed parts perfectly. With the new backglass and apron graphics installed, it was time to fire up the machine and play some pinball. I love how these 2 simple projects enhance my Marvel table. Fantastic Four is a lot more fun to play now that it has a matching retro art backglass. It's totally unique and it looks great alongside my other arcade machines. If you have a screwdriver, a sharp knife, and a hardware store in your area that will cut plexiglass, you can complete this project in about an hour or less. You can learn more about Loud GraphX line of vinyl decals and custom backglass art for Arcade1Up pinball machines by visiting their store on Etsy.com. And if you don't see it listed yet, be sure to ask about it. It's worth it. And check out my other easy Arcade1Up modding projects on my YouTube channel, Pop Art Studios.